What are you guys doing? Well, I'm going to talk about it again because I'm doing it. So why not? Geometry and protractors. Today I did drive out an hour away and picked up. I got to get all this dirt off this thing. In the rafters. Used to have one of these. It's an Aeroworks 122-inch extra 260. I'm an extras guy, number one. It's funny, I hardly have an extra now. I do have extras, but I have a lot of slicks and lasers. But yeah, extra 260 is super cool looking, super good planes. One of my all-time favorite planes was a Dalton extra 260 built by Kenny Lauder. I wish I'd never sold that. Probably the only plane like I wish I'd never sold. Um, yeah, I'd love to have one of those built one of these days if I could find a builder. Does AJ Lee still build out of Texas? Who else we got? Who are the good builders? Who's going to build me a Dalton? So, that'd be the old one too, not these iMac Daltons, but the old 118-inch with not the extended tail moment. That's a big sidetrack. So, Wing Toad is my favorite bags. They're like 200 delivered, and that's included. Inside these bags are the extra 260 wings, no repairs or damage. There's the stabs right there, and then the fuselage is in one of the two rollover garages. So I want to get that together, and I just wanted to have a plane that I got real inexpensively, that I didn't have to do any work on, that I could really try to push instead of pushing with one of these gems I have around here. Like this Airworks kind of a gem too. This kit. So yeah, that was the idea behind that. Let's see if that even works out. But yeah, picked that up today. Then got back on the Airworks. Look, this wing looks done. Yeah, I had to solder on this DreamWorks RC wire. That's real thin insulation on 20 gauge wire, real hard thin, but it's very stiff, and I don't think I'll ever use this stuff again. I'm going to get some of the Powerbox 20 gauge thin and hard insulation wire, try it out. But yeah, I don't like this because, well, it'd be fine if you're attaching it to the same stiffness of wire, but you're not. And I don't like that soft to stiff wire, and then when they rotate, turn, the soft wire is going to get balled up and break, so yeah, I'm not too keen on this, but it'll just go in the wings on the Airworks and on this plane, and that'll be that. And it's all fixed in the foam in here, so it's not really going anywhere, and I'll be kind of careful with it here because, yeah, I don't like the fact it's stiff. I'll probably have to set up some way of attaching it inside the wing to where, thinking about it right now, to where it, can't flex it around. Shoot, may even have to go to a multiplex connector that's mounted inside the fuse, and have this come in on a multiplex connector and then push them together so that it's being pushed into something that's mounted and can't move. It's probably what I'm going to do. Hey, just worked that out. I got my Dean's connectors all ready for this thing, but I believe this is going to be a multiplex. So yeah, I think for me, it's a thumbs down on this wire from DreamWorks, this 20 gauge thin coat, lightweight tech, cool wire. Yeah, in a different application. Yeah, but not on our planes. Not for me anyway. Then yeah, here's the boring thing that I'll talk about again, and I'll tell you why. And I'll try to make this quick. But yeah, on this wing, we got 3 ailerons. This is a normal wing, 118-inch, just like, not too much different than the 114-inch here, the 116-inch Skywings. It's not a huge plane. It was set up for 3, and since I don't know how the hard points were made and all that stuff, I just figured put 3 of the 9381s in here instead of trying to go with 2 961s and like break a hard point or something, or a servo mount. Yeah, I didn't build this. So, and even though those guys were great builders, I'm not trying to say they weren't, but it was 22 years ago, and our servos had like 150-inch ounce. So that's why they had 3. So they just, weren't really setting up for what we're doing now. And they were concerned with lightweight, and they were good builders, and they did build stuff lightweight. Not all the guys I'm talking about. I'm talking about the guys that built this plane. Sean Berkheimer and probably did most of it, and then Damon Parker probably did a little. So yeah, Sean built light and quality. So, but he would only been worried about those servos at that time. Like I think the 8411s were like the strongest servo out. I got to look up the specs on those, but that was like the strongest servo at that time. So anyway, here's the point. I can see by the way that they did it. They did a couple cool things for the time, and I could see why. So I can't give them too much credit. Okay, the first one is where they put the control horn laterally. Through the years, this has been too far away for me and what I'm trying to achieve. I'm not saying it won't work. It's just too far away for me. Now they've slid these over now to where I want them, pretty much right where I want them, in like the Skywing and the Extreme Flight planes. What else have I? Those are the only two planes I've got this year, right? Yeah, I haven't gotten a Pilot this year. I did 7 years ago. I got a couple or three. And I haven't got an AJ, and I haven't got a Kike. But, who knows? Might get all three. If I had it in a perfect world, I would do the Extreme Flight and the Skywings. I might just move them like 1/8 of an inch over laterally towards the servo. I mean, nothing, not significant at all. Like just if you're trying to split hairs, but they're good. Now these guys did what I talk about too. They lined up straight with the servo body is the control horn, and I can work with that. I'd rather have it more 1/4 inch away off of a line. Would be pretty ideal. 5/16 I think even talk about when you're really like trying to get Nat's ass, like you're really being stupid, getting too perfect. But line up with a servo body is totally fine. I can always work with that, and I'll show you why. But I don't know how genius they were about this at the time. Kike had already started talking about it in an article that I post sometimes from AMA Magazine or Model Aircraft. I think it was in Model Aircraft. Yeah, it was in Model Aircraft. He was catching on to this stuff, not completely, refined to the extent that I'm doing it, but he was onto it. These guys, I think, because they were flying IMAC and they had no travel, and they understood resolution. That's Damon and Sean Berkheimer. So I believe they were using 1 inch arms at the most, maybe 3/4. Somewhere to 3/4 to 1 inch maximum. Plus, we were trying not to have our servos blow out, So we're looking for best mechanical advantage. So you have the best possible mechanical advantage that would still get you the travel you wanted. And they didn't want much travel because they were flying IMAC. So I'm sure that they were flying either a 1 or probably even a 3/4 inch and getting max resolution and max mechanical advantage to get the travel they wanted. So as a consequence, to make that work, they lined up their control horn on the side of the servo body, and that would already be like 3/8 of an inch over from the pivot point. And if they were using 3/4, then their pivot point out here, their hole would only be 3/8 of an inch more, and they would just have the slightest of angles, which would straighten out as they deflected the surface. So that's why I think they put it here, but it turns out to be pretty cool to see guys putting them there, even if it was for a different reason than I do. But what you can see here, if I go full deflection, bevel to bevel up, which is like 55 degrees, this travels, quite a ways over from the 90, because he does have his servo arm set to 90 at neutral. See, they still didn't, they didn't know about that stuff, so they just 90'd it. And then when you go full deflection here the other way, it doesn't travel nearly as far, so that's in the neighborhood of what I'm used to with stock planes, even the modern stock ARFs, if you set them up stock. That's about 30 degrees, let's call it, that deflection of travel. And then here you're talking about, let's call it 50. So I don't have a protractor cut for this right now. This is cut for an arm that goes the opposite way, so I got to cut out a new one. But I am going to make protractors for this and set this up. So the way they've done it on all three, you're 30 degrees up, 50 degrees down to have the surface move the same deflection, of, let's call it 50 degrees up, 50 degrees down. To get that, you do go 50 degrees one way to get the 50 degrees, but you go 30 degrees the other way to get the 50 degrees on the aileron. And again, like I repeat all the time, like if all three of these are the same, which they are, then you don't have a problem here. It's all synchronized. So you're golden, except for the fact that it's going to go quicker the 30-degree way and slower the 50-degree way. You'll have more resolution the 50-degree way, less the 30-degree way. But nothing will be binding. You won't have a servo issue or battery issue or control horn breaking issue or any of those things. But you have the surface moving at a different speed each way you go, up or down. And like I talk about with a push-pull rudder, on the opposite side, my hand, whoa, the opposite side of the plane, it's doing the opposite thing. So when you're going, let's see, in this case, this one would be going down. It would be going quickly at 30 degrees. The opposite side of the plane at the same time would be going up, and that would be going, the servo arm, not the surface, but the servo arm is going to be going 50 degrees. So it's going to take it longer to get over there. So you're not going to have the same resistance on each side of the plane to have an axial result. On some weird planes, warbirds and different things, and that may be the exact differential you need. Of course, 30 to 50 is pretty extreme, but a lot of the IMAC guys run like 1 or 2 degrees to get their differential. It just depends on the model of the plane, depends on your CG, depends on everything else. I like to just have them neutral and then work it from there. So I'm just going to always make them the same. If I flew a model like, the same model every single time and really refine my flying with it, I might get to where I wanted 40 up and 39 down. Well, I like 44, so 44 up and 43 down or something. If I, was that refined, I think some of the elite pilots are that refined. They fly the same model enough, and they refine what they're doing enough that they can do something like that. But for me, since I'm hopping models all the time, I'm happy to have it just totally equal. So, some people through the years have gone, why are you going on and on about this? Or this doesn't matter. I get that, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Okay, fine. So, but like I've repeated in the past, I'll just say it again. What would be so bad in your 2, this is pretty popular today to have 2 servos on an aileron, or your 3, or in the old days we had 4 sometimes. But even your 2 or 3, if you are going to have your aileron go up and down, let's say the popular one. What's the popular one? 38 degrees, up and down. And so you're going to have it go up and down 38 on both sides of the plane. You want it 38 up, 38 down. What would be so bad about having each of the servos, once this thing's right on center, so it's going to go 38 up and down, to have each of these go 52, 52. 52 is nice resolution, without getting into too many weird angles. I mean, if you're really going for, super nice setup. So what would be wrong with having this go 52, 52, for this to go 38, 38, and have that be the same on every single servo on your entire plane for the ailerons, if they're all doing exactly that same thing? What would be so bad about that? It's like I talk about with the ball links, the way that or the control horns, the way that I'm putting the conicals in. What would be so bad about bind free? And what would be so bad about these all working exactly the same? Now, it's really as easy as 2 things. You kind of get used to it. One, you have to set up your protractor correctly. Like this would be set up for dish. I'm trying to do a one-hand thing. There we go. If this arm was this way, then this protractor would be set up correct, because the center line has to be in that pivot point. This center line has to be through the center of that bolt. Both ways has to be through the center. Then you could make a mark for center, and then you can measure the degrees easily as you move the surface exactly where you want it. You'll see what the degrees turn out to be. And on that, how you change that, if that isn't equal, is you adjust the length of the push rods. What these push rods need to have happen, these need to be like quarter inch shorter, quarter to 5/16 shorter than they are. And they're full length right now. And they're already, the ball links are stuffed on. This is a plane I bought used, so this is already done. So I will have to change those if I want to make this perfect, which I probably will. Pain in the butt. I'll have to put, you know, whatever. If I have exactly 3/8 shorter push rods, I can use those. I can even use half and just not crank them in quite so much. But to get it even, for this even, you adjust the length of the push rod. So that's all you have to do. That sounds easy, but it actually takes time. That's why guys don't do it. But there's no other principle involved. You know, there's no other method. You just adjust this push rod length until you're even. The reason I'm so concerned about where these are laterally and when they used to be over here was really not good is because this arm will have to come in instead of being at 90 for you to be even. And then once it's in and it goes 50, it gets too in line. It gets straight in line. The arm will come straight in line with the push rod if the bolt is over here, if the control horn's over here. But put the control horn over here and then you retain an angle even when you get to 50 degrees. That's why this becomes interesting. So then, yeah, this is just a push rod thing. And once you get the push rod right to where those are even, like I said, you do start to consider, hey, these control horn locations are more important than I ever imagined. Then the other thing you do, which will happen here, guaranteed, even if these guys were good, the nice thing is, and they made them longer as the plane got thinner, these bolts, the nice thing is bolts with these Dubro clevises are completely adjustable. So what will happen, and you'll find it on your planes, and it's, you know, you're not going to do anything about it, you know, especially on these fiberglass trusses, just too much trouble. But the bolt affords you the opportunity. What typically happens, you'll adjust this push rod length, you get that control horn laterally where you want, and you'll adjust this push rod length until you're even here. So this is going up and down 38 degrees. This is going even 52. Then you make this one even and this one even. What you'll find, if you're really refining this stuff, is that they'll be different. So this one will have went 52, 52 for this 38, 38. This one's going to go maybe 49, 49 for this to be 38, 38. And this one might go 54, 54 for this one to go 38, 38. But you've adjusted the push rod so they're all even. But now there's only one more thing to adjust, is this control horn height. So you just spin it around one time on this bolt in the correct direction, and then that will equalize the travel. So once you spin these around in the correct direction, and this first one was 52, 52, you spin this one around till it is 52, 52, and that's 52, 52. So the distance is controlled by the control horn, and the equality is controlled by the push rod. See, this is the stuff I said, you know, when Willie goes, is there a way to support the channel? For 22 years, I would love to have an animation of this. And then I would love to have test results based on the animation. And then, you know, even pilot input. We get like some of the elite pilots fly planes set up different ways. But regardless, for 22 years, I know this is the best way. Nobody can tell me any different. How can you tell me any different? If all of my surfaces, my ailerons, both sides, are going the exact same travel up and down, you know, that I want, whatever that is I want, even differential, even if I want 38 up, 39 down on both, whatever that is, when they're doing that, all of my aileron servos, be it 1, 2, or 3, they're going, even if you had one per side, it's the same thing. You know, are they set up equally? Even one per side on a 50cc plane, are they set up equally? And so what would be wrong, again, if that is traveling, you know, exactly 50 degrees or 48 or 52, you know, you just want good resolution, but maintain all proper geometry and angles. But let's call it 50. If that's going exactly 50, and that's going exactly 50, well, you're getting this to do exactly what you want, and the other side of the plane to do exactly what you want. And then each of the servos, be it 1 per side, 2 per side, or 3 per side, to all do that exact same thing. What would be wrong with that? Nothing. If you don't have that, is it as good as this? No, it's not. Can you fly it? Can you be happy? Yes, you can. But, you know, I'm just here to show it to you. I just did it tonight again, and I'm going to refine it. You know, I can see what needs to be done. So I'll put protractors on tomorrow night. I'll adjust everything, and all these will be exactly the same. and then I'll match that on the other side of the plane. And the elite guys will still fly better than me. Okay, I give them that, But at least I know mine are exactly correct. That's kind of it. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what I do with this used plane, which I got at bargain basement price. So there's just like no fear at all. Like, will be no loss if that thing goes in. So I don't have any investment in time or money in it. So I just want to see if I can bring rifle rolls down, and maybe they'll help me get used to seeing them down, and that'll be a breakthrough for taking the more fancy planes down that I do have more time and do have more investment in. But I don't know if that's good logic at all. I've yet to crack the rifle rolls on the deck thing. So until I do, it's just all a lot of talk. I do have a new little couple things I changed in the radio based on watching Antonio de Souza, that awesome video he's got with the 104 version of this 125 on the EF laser. And he puts his radio and thumb inputs. And I was watching some things and it kind of, a little light bulb went off, but I'm not saying till I can prove it. But yeah, there's some radio things, there's some mental things, and now, some non-investment plane things are all like the angles of approach I have. But you can even look back like a couple, 3 months ago with, I think, the best ones I've done on video. I've done better ones not on video. You know how that is. You've had some videos of yourself, and you have many a days that you flew better than the day that you had the video, and you're like, dang, wish we would have had video of this. It's so much better than the videos we've made. So we've all done that. And I've got some way lower, better rifle rolls than I have on YouTube, but still not where I want them. But there's a video of me, I think it's called Lower and Faster. Yeah, it is. Where I have my Extreme Flight 114 Extra NG, which again, I got to get back to extras because I like them better. What am I doing with all these other planes? But yeah, and it, I'm rifle rolling like full throttle, blistering roll rate, and everything. And I was looking at it today. And it's like 30 feet, 25 feet, not high, but it ain't on the deck. And what I've seen is like, my little audiences, wherever I go, trying to put on a little show. If I do old school 3D easy, all of us can do it, no problem, but I do it all like 3 inches high, it dazzles them a lot more than if I do modern maneuvers that are really hard for me to do, and are very challenging and everything. But if I do them 30 feet high, it gets, no appreciation. So the rifle rolls, at 30 feet, just only guys that are like, guys that are trying to do them too, the guys that can appreciate them. There's a couple guys in my field that know what I'm doing when I'm doing them. So they're like, yeah, that was impressive, but it doesn't look spectacular. Like there's not too much really that doesn't look cool on the deck. Why do you think all the elite pilots fly everything on the deck? Everything's on the ground, because it just doesn't look that cool. You're not proving that you're that much in control of it if it's 50 feet up. So you don't see anything 50 feet up. This year I really, blown away since I got back this time. You look at Santi Perez and Spencer Norquist and everybody, Antonio de Souza and stuff. They're doing all these, what I call flip maneuvers, and they're doing actual cartwheels, lateral cartwheels, like ruddered cartwheels. Crankshafts and everything. They're doing all this stuff like 10 feet high, which sounds high, but that's actually right on the deck. But the center of their plane's like 10 feet, and then their plane is whipping around that to where it's getting down to 5 feet and back up to 15, but it's basically on a 10-foot center line and with control doing all these freaking maneuvers. And If they just push that up to just 30 to 40 feet, no one would care. So that's just how it is. You got to be able to do it, and within 10 feet. Within 10 feet, it's fine. Whether you have it at 10 feet or 2 feet, it's really not much difference to people. I mean, it is in a way too. It's like more exciting, but if you can do everything at 10 feet, if your top of your wing never gets above like 15, 20 feet ever, which is what you'll see in some of these elite pilots flights, yeah, you're looking good. Like it's going to be a crowd pleaser. So I just, even though that video is not terrible, when I don't fly for a while, then I go back and look at that video and I go, I'm not even flying that good right now because I just been building and doing different things lately. And I go, that's not that awful, but it's, 25 feet. Nobody's really looking. You got to get down to 10. So I'm just trying to strategize like any way I could think of to come up with it. So it's funny here again. I'm just being myself. 26 minutes in, I was going to make you guys this like 2-minute video on protractors because I'm always, talking about this stuff. And I just thought I'd make it a real short one going, you know what I always say? It's still true. And just kind of say what would be wrong with having them all the same. And it turned into, I seem to always be able to talk. So that's what's going on. And I'm going to see if I can't get some sleep and then try to rifle roll lower. And that is finally all I have to say tonight. All right, out.